Hi, welcome back to another video feature of the Immersive Worlds Handbook. Today I'm back at Victoria Gardens, the very innovative and interesting mall in Rancho Cucamonga, California. The focus of this feature is on placemaking, so I'd like to detail in the various ways that this mall approaches creating that sense of place for the guest. So let me take you around and offer some of the video that I shot on that day during my visit to Victoria Gardens. I did just notice something here at Victoria Gardens that's kind of cool. So if you look up at the hotel sign here, this has nothing to do with business underneath, which is Johnny Rockets. And then let's go down the street here, and then you can see here then that they've painted an old-time sign, grocery and fresh produce. So I just noticed this. This is kind of a cool feature, and you're going to get another one up here as well. Salon of Beauty. Another one across the street there, which is a shoe shining up on the top of the building there. Yeah, so kind of cool features. So we get at the top here, the gap inside, we have Kilbourne Hall. So again, a fictive place that's created and gives it, I guess, some authenticity. Then one more example down here. Again, very faded, and actually a billboard as well. Hollywood Soul Records, and an old sign. And just here, you could see this fountain. You know, really, certainly decent for a shopping mall. I mean, malls maybe sometimes aren't known for spending a lot of time and attention and detail to decor and architecture. You can see to the left of it here, and I'll do a close-up in a second, is a historical plaque of a local figure. And so like the mall in Sparks, Nevada, that you may have seen a video on, there's some attention here to the local history. And then again, we're gonna pan up here because I think it's up at the top. You could see an advertisement here for a, I guess these are all presumably fake, they're not real brands, a soda. And then to the left you can see, I really like these worn out signs that they've done. You can see there you have Zweck's jewelry, and below it Skechers. So a very, very curious interplay, if you will, of two eras. And of course, these aren't real eras, the older vintage era, but it's something to create placemaking in this space. And just beyond there, I want to go take a look there. You can see by the Gap building, there's an old facade, if you can make that out. Try to zoom in. Comfort and style. I think you can make out the faded visage of an old brand or logo, so I'm going to go check that out. Okay, and just here, you can see with the Forever 21, you have another example of what we saw with the Gap store, which is the naming of the building. And forgive my lack of knowledge, since I didn't do any background research for this video yet, I'm not sure if J.M. Holt, if that person is significant or not, but again, it's creating a sense of space beyond the brands themselves, and it also allows a sense of unity in terms of connecting the dots, if you will, between the different brands and retail stores. And as you can see, indeed, L.M. Holt, my question has just been answered on one of the pillars here. He was a local visionary Californian, an editor and horticulturalist. And you can see this area here they call their town square, and I was immediately reminded of the wide open space, albeit with fountains and more sculptures, at Americana at Brand. But it's the same approach you could see to space in terms of creating this dramatic courtyard buttressed on both sides by the rows of stores. And it looks like, again, we get examples of the building and the courtyard being named after a famous local person. So again, an appeal to local history. Yeah, and you can also make out that they've done quite a bit with open public spaces. This is what they call the Cultural Center. There's some interesting books here. Pretty cool feature. I wanted to show you this as well. So just outside the Cultural Center here, which I guess they hold events, you have this bench with William Shakespeare. And so I think there's a sense here of trying to promote aspects of the arts, and presumably they have events here as well. So I think it's moving the idea of a shopping mall away from the concept of just being a retail space. And the books that we saw a second ago are, I just discovered here, a branch of the local library. So that makes sense in terms of having that architectural feature. Again, a wide open space you could see, which I think is important for contemporary shopping malls, for the sense that you can even hear, like a la Disney, right? You can leave your name on the walkway if you've been to Epcot or many of the Disney parks. They also have this. It's a way to, I guess, leave your mark, your persona here at the space, and also to help support maybe some of the efforts here. But as I was saying a second ago, I think it's important because to have these types of spaces to allow guests or shoppers to have something more than simply retail that governs their time in the shopping center. And you can see here, somewhat faded, but this is the Bank of America Imagination Courtyard. Just looking at it here. A leading role in the arts and education and performance, learning and culture and so forth. So yeah, it sort of suggests the multi-use model that's becoming popular, I think, in a lot of malls in terms of mixed-use spaces that move beyond pure retail. And I guess another thing you can note here is a variety of architectural styles that they've employed here at Victoria Gardens. You can see the Jamba Juice, and then this is the food hall, which I'm going to go in later. Eclectic, heterogeneous, whatever you want to call it, it's certainly the case here at this interesting mall in Rancho Cucamonga. Okay, so I am inside the food hall, and I wanted to show you some of this. I think it's kind of remarkable, actually. Everything from the tables here, and then you can see the murals on the wall. There's, a lot of emphasis on local produce, agriculture. As you can see, they've done a lot here to make it look rather vintage, all the while you have chains and familiar contemporary places like Panda Express. And you can see some more of this vintage appeal here. I mean, really done a lot in terms of the interior design, I would say. Another example here I really like. You could see all the produce crates. Again, you see the vintage appeal here in the logos and artwork on each of the crates. Again, quite interesting space that they've created. Okay, and here you can see we're at the extreme outskirts of the mall, and certainly if you look at the map, it looks like the map of any mall, but I think the difference here at Victoria Gardens is the fact that you see it right here, dramatic approach to scale. And you could see here, just in terms of the food hall, the architecture, and also the emphasis on vintage consumerism. You could see the light fixtures and so forth. That creates an overarching sense of space and an appeal to space that helps create some sense of unity between disparate stores here at Victoria Gardens. So I think you could see here maybe why there's this appeal to the type of placemaking I've described here, and this use of Main Street symbolism. We have Lucky Brand jeans here, and right next to it the famous Anthropologie store, and you can see quite a contrast. I mean, obviously they're occupying the same rectangular section of the building, but in the case of Anthropologie, you have the more weathered, I guess you could say, earthy hipster look, and then Lucky Brand jeans, a more modern contemporary appeal. So one of the things that occurred to me is that you can use the symbolism and notion of Main Street to basically create that sense of placemaking that does tie everything together in a cohesive sense. And I looked at this particular feature in my video on Main Street at Victoria Gardens. Again, I was very fascinated to see this, and I actually spoke with a security guard, and he wasn't entirely clear on this, but what I determined later, as I'll talk about in a video that I shot there, is each of these locations refer to various place plaques that you can see throughout the mall. So this is related to an old map we were looking at earlier. As you can see, they are featuring here historic events or people or cultural modes. In this case, it's a focus on ingenuity in the 1900s. I'm taking you through a lot of the spaces here during my visit at Victoria Gardens. Again, I think what makes the placemaking significant as I review some of the images here is this appeal to nostalgia, to a past era, as you can see with the signage here. I think it's just fairly remarkable, and for me it created an effective yet subtle approach to placemaking. Also the emphasis on the past, on certain aspects of the Victorian era, which took place from the late 1830s to 1900 or so. And there's an appeal to that, obviously, and as I'll show you with an additional plaque here that's part of the placemaking at the mall, they focus then on events, on individuals, on key periods, even natural disasters. As you can see here, the issue is A Day in the Life in 1884. So this is another way to create this connection to the past, to this era of history. Very subtle, but I thought quite interesting in terms of offering this for the guest. The only comparison I could make would be, and check out my video on the Legends at Sparks Marina Mall, very similar in terms of how they approach placemaking, more through natural features, animals and plants and so forth. Again, the food court, quite amazing at the mall as well. We'll come back for additional video features focused on malls and other spaces from around the world.